welcome in. We got a very special guest today, Mackensie Liberman. I'm gonna let a few people join first. Guys, just so Mackensie gets a great idea of who we got on the call today, if you guys could just comment into the chat where you're calling in from and what you do for a living.
Yes, please. That would be helpful.
What type of entrepreneur are you and where at? There we go. Kalina in
Awesome.
Canada, Gabe in Scottsdale, Jim out in California. Let's go.
Awesome. Fundraising. Also, if you guys want, you can put in if you're currently using chat automation or if you aren't. And if you are, if you're just dabbling or if it's making a huge difference for your business currently. So I know people are a wide range.
If anybody here has used ManyChat before or you're familiar with it, drop a 1 in the chat. Oh, sweet.
Awesome.
Carlos, it's funny, you're in Pensacola, man. That's where I was born. Very cool. And then so if you guys have never used ManyChat before, it's a foreign concept to you, but you've heard of it before and you're here to learn, or maybe you haven't heard of it before, but you're here to learn how to drive traffic using ManyChat. So from Instagram, Facebook, just drop a 2 in the chat so we get a good idea of how many beginners we have here today.
Oh, it's so awesome to see. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. So we got some we have a few veterans, Mackensie. We also have some ManyChat newbies here in the chat today. This is awesome. You guys are gonna love this. For anybody that doesn't know, School of Hard Knocks uses ManyChat, and Mackenzie's been very helpful in helping us get our ManyChat squared away to be able to drive all of our wonderful traffic that we curate on School of Hard Knocks to where we need it to go. So this is gonna be a super powerful call. So, but anyways, we'd love to get right into it. So Mackensie, why don't you just kind of introduce yourself to everybody, kind of a little bit of your background, and then we can get into what they're gonna learn today and get right to it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so my name is Mackensie Liberman, and I am the owner of my chat marketing agency, Work Marketology. I started this back in late or mid 2016, and then started with ManyChat and chat automation pretty much when it hit the scene early 2017. So a lot of people actually over the years have thought that I work for ManyChat just because I'm a super user, and that I've utilized ManyChat for so many different things, and also have helped so many different people in the ManyChat community. I've also spoken on stage at pretty much all of ManyChat's different conferences, and then also have talked on local podcasts, including Perpetual Traffic. Spoke at Digital Marketers WarRoom Mastermind about chat automation. So I've done a lot over the years about it and with it, and of course, things have come and gone with changes. And I'm sure for those of you who've been using DM automation for a while, you probably have also experienced the frustration that can happen when Meta decides to change things up. But that's the only constant is change, right? So you got to roll with it. But it's really exciting with not only with ManyChat automation, but also how you can integrate it with so many different things and different softwares and features and things like that. So obviously having it through your Instagram and or Facebook, but you can also connect WhatsApp. Actually, I did that for a iLatch conference that they were doing in Miami, and there's a huge focus or a lot of use cases of WhatsApp in the southern southeastern United States and Puerto Rico. So we utilized WhatsApp, and you can actually connect it to ads, and that was a huge game changer. Also in Israel, I have a client that they use WhatsApp almost exclusively, more so than Messenger. So it's really cool that you can do automation through WhatsApp. Also, there's Telegram as well, and that's mainly through you can do all those through ManyChat's platform. And then with integrating, if you use Go High Level, that's a great use case of that you can integrate and send leads to Go High Level or any other CRM that you currently use, email marketing software that you use, like ActiveCampaign, Fabio, really anything that you have an API. That gets a little bit more advanced, but you can pretty much connect ManyChat to that to be able to help track conversions, be able to integrate and have relevant messaging. So you can have follow-up messaging if you send somebody to go purchase something from your website, and you can have a follow-up message be dependent on if they purchased or not, right? So how cool is that you can actually have a follow-up with somebody who has purchased? They said, hey, thanks for purchasing or for signing up or scheduling an appointment. Here are the next steps versus it waits like 15, 20 minutes, follows up and hey, did you have any questions? So having that relevant messaging can really make a huge difference in conversions, and also keeping the messaging relevant will keep people engaged. The last thing you want is to be sending out a lot of messages to people that it's not relevant to them because then they won't pay attention to your messages anymore. So if you guys have any questions as I'm going through, please be sure to drop them in the chat. Obviously, we see that there's a wide range of people with their use cases of ManyChat, and hopefully, obviously for the newbies, there's gonna be a lot of information, and then understandably, it's gonna be like, wow, this is so much that you could do. And then for the super users or people who use ManyChat, hopefully you get some nuggets of inspiration or just an idea that you're like, oh, I didn't realize that was possible. So, but yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a few different common use cases of ManyChat. I'm not going to show my screen with building them. I'm going to have some of them that are already kind of built out so you can see, first of all, the overall structure of how it's done, and then also going over the strategy of how you can use these different flows to really take your DM chat automation to the next level, including how you can have them triggered, and then being able to utilize that to really take your organic and paid marketing to the next level. So let me pull that up here really quick.
Guys, like Mackensie said, if you do have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I feel like since we're going through kind of like a step-by-step demonstration, would love if there's something that's relevant to what we're talking about at the time, I'd love to take care of that question then and there. And so, but yeah, let's see. There we go. Perfect.
All right, so I'm going to go over a few different use cases. One is just like a lead gen, like a lead magnet. I'm sure a lot of you guys utilize either paid and or organic marketing to get new leads, by providing PDF or some other benefit for as a lead magnet. This is just as a simple, they opt in, provide their email, then they get the lead magnet. But there's other things that you can take to the next, a little bit more advanced, like quizzes that you can actually have it where it goes through and calculates their results that will then get them, their answer based off of their answers, and then having that be a relevant message based off of their answers and with that next call to action from that. So that's one thing that has worked really well for my clients. For anybody that has a business that's a little bit more I don't know, like home services, or that maybe you have clients who are doing home services, things like calculators. I've built calculators for like solar businesses, and then also for like fence installation, where people put in their information of what they're looking for, and then it can actually do the calculations and then provide the answer to them for like an estimate. So that's also something, so don't just think the lead magnet is like, oh, it's a PDF, but you can utilize ManyChat to do a lot of different things to help get people the information they're looking for, but also to get that really valuable email. And I'll go over to another piece of that of comparing chat automation for lead generation versus just a website, and how utilizing chat automation can really, how it's much more just beneficial compared to just a landing page. So let me pull the chat too here so I can make sure I see this. So real quick, does this work for Facebook Messenger and Facebook Lead Center? Yeah, so it does work for Messenger specifically. You can do Facebook Leads, but it's a little bit, the way that Facebook has it set up with the Facebook Leads, you have to use a ref URL that they will click and then provide the information. But real quick with that, I created a chat marketing system for an orthodontist that was using Facebook Leads, lead ads previously. And just from doing it through Messenger, instead of doing the lead ads, increased the number of initial appointments by, this was a couple years ago, it was like 40-50% more, just because, as I'm sure you know, with lead ads, the benefit or the curse is the fact that someone just has to click a button because all their information is very pre-filled. So a lot of times they were calling people and they'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't opt into that. And it's like, dude, yes, you did. How else did you get the information? So the benefit with chat marketing is it's conversational. People who make it through, it increases that likelihood that they're actually interested versus all they have to do is click a button. So, but you can also utilize it, like I said, where you have the lead ad, they click a button, and then the next step you provide is a ref URL link that will take them in through the automations that will then maybe pre-qualify them a bit more. So okay, so let me show you guys this really quick here, just in general of how it can be done. So this is after they've opted in through either an ad, or it could be a trigger from a story reply, a comment growth tool where they comment on a post through either an ad or organic post. Then they can get the initial message here where it will say, hey, to get your PDF, whatever, enter your email below. And so when they provide their email, what it does is it will then, if you have it set up with your integrations, you can have it where it will automatically send it to your CRM. I have it here to make sure that they have provided their email. And this little tip that I've found out from over the years, you think this might be weird saying, why does it say black hole? Well, sometimes Facebook, when someone, the benefit with Messenger over Instagram, or not over, but one benefit of Messenger is it does provide, when someone is at their email, it puts their email as a quick reply button automatically. So it pre-fills it kind of like a lead ad. The downside to that is sometimes, depending on, and I still haven't to this day, this has been like this for years. I don't know why, but sometimes people's emails will show up as a weird email, be like Facebook, Duval at, and something black hole. It's just a weird email that you cannot send an email to. So the last thing you want is to be collecting emails that the person didn't mean to send that necessarily, but that's what it shows up as. It will say black hole. So that's why I have it in here for conditions saying, first of all, that they provided their email and that email does not contain the word black hole. Sorry for anybody whose actual email they decided to put black hole in their email, because it will never work. But the likelihood of that happening is like 0. So that's the reason behind I had a condition. And so then what you have here then is you can have then where it will give them access to the PDF. So this could be through a Google Drive link or whatever link that you want. And then you can actually track see if they clicked it. And then if they clicked it, then you can do a follow-up and see if they've clicked. If they click, you can have it send an email or a message to them saying, hey, did you have any questions? You can also use that time period to, or a message to be able to provide the next step. And hey, since you got my lead magnet that will show you the 7 steps or whatever, next step would be jump on a call. We'd like to book a call, and then you have a link for that. But more importantly is being able to follow up with them if they didn't click. So if someone can opt in for something, how many times, I'm guilty too, where I opt in for something and I get the email like sent to me with the lead magnet or whatever, and then I don't open it for days or weeks, or maybe I open it but I didn't actually read it. So having this capability of following up with people after they've received it is super beneficial of taking them through that next step to make sure that they're making it through your funnel. So that is one scenario of how you can deliver the lead magnet and the benefit with it being through the PDF. The other scenario that you can do is, let's see here. Oh, wait, this is for phone number. So the other scenario is, instead of giving it the PDF as a link and a button, is to say, hey, I sent it to your inbox. And the benefit of that is, making sure that they provided you a valid email, right? That they didn't put in a crap email. They're like, they get the lead magnet anyways. So that's one benefit. And then what you can do from that is after you say, hey, great, check your inbox. I sent it to you there. You can just do a follow up with them within an hour or whatever that says, hey, were you able to get the lead magnet? Did you have any questions? And or provide that next step. One thing to keep in mind, no matter what, with automations with both Messenger and Instagram, is automations can be sent within 24 hours of them last engaging with the chatbot. So you have 24 hours to be able to follow up with them. I always try to, depending on what the big picture is for the funnel, is trying to keep that interaction open. So you get anytime you get them to click a button or send a message that responds to the message, because clicking a button to a website doesn't count, but anytime you get them to send a message or click a button that will send them a response, automated response, that will reopen up that 24-hour window. So you want to keep that open, and especially if you have something that's upcoming, or if you have, like, let's say an event that they're opting in for and it's going to be in the next 24 to 48 hours, trying to keep that open so then that way you can follow up with them within 24 hours. And the other big thing with this, and going back to where I was saying chat DM lead magnet versus landing page, is this right here. If they have not responded with their email, you can follow up with them. You can set this time to whatever you want it to be within 24 hours. My suggestion is 10, 20 minutes or whatever, is then to be able to follow up with them with the message. So here I just have it saying, it looks like we didn't get your email, you're still interested in our offer, versus a landing page. Someone goes on a landing page, they don't complete it, good luck getting back in front of them, except for maybe a retargeting ad. So this is nice because it will actually send them that email message that will, or the messenger message that will follow up with them within a certain amount of time if they have not provided their email. Same thing can go for any other input that you are asking for, like phone number, anything like that. It really helps to keep people going through to complete your funnel. Going back to that orthodontist client mentioning about with implementing this reminder feature, we were able to get 30% more leads going through the funnel compared to if they were just going through and they didn't receive a reminder message. So reminder messages are super valuable to keep people going through, especially if you're paying for the for ads, and it'll keep or help to get you a greater ROI on your ad, because people, they drop off, they forget, they get distracted or whatever. So this really does help. Okay, so before I dive into another scenario, let me see if anyone has any other questions. If you have any questions about this specifically, feel free to drop it below. see, how much better is opt-in conversion when getting email SMS opt-ins via DMs rather than sending landing page via DMs and having them opt in there? Oh, well, I just kind of answered that. So having the ability of asking them for their information through DMs, that if they don't, you can follow up with them. The other piece that is not really measurable necessarily is depending on what you're offering. You're already chatting with them. So you've already provided an easy way for them to ask questions, maybe to have some sort of question or objection or whatever it is before they take that next step. You already have that line of communication right there open. Compared to a landing page, they have to find your contact if you have it on there and then send you an email. Sometimes that's just too much of an ask, of course, depending on what it is that you are you're providing. But having that chat window or line of communication already open really makes it easy for people to take that next step or ask a question before they provide their email or they book a call or whatever it is. Okay, so yeah, no questions on this part. If you have questions, be sure to ask them. Or if anybody wants to say something, you can also.
Yeah. I was gonna say, if it's possible, could we just go through like a quick sequence from scratch real quick? Because I'm sure like there might be some people on the call that like they've never used ManyChat before. So like this, like I think they just need to kind of see like how does the sequence structure together real quick, and then this will make like a lot more sense to them.
Yeah. So really, when you're starting off with a new, move this down here. Okay, this is a new flow. So what you do, you just start off with Messenger, or if you have Instagram, you can have different flows. But one thing to keep in mind, Messenger flows have to stay in Messenger. You can't do Messenger to Instagram, or vice versa. So you want to keep Messenger and Instagram connected to each other. Otherwise, it won't send the message. You can have if you want to have both Instagram and Messenger in the same flow, you can do that. One way I do that is through a condition, and I just say Instagram, opt-in for Instagram is true. And then if that's the case, then it will go to Instagram. If it's not, then you assume it's Messenger. And then that's one way you can keep it consistent. Then it would just, another tip though, is that I would build it in one platform. And then what you can do afterwards is go up here. Sorry, I'm zooming away here. When you have it published, then you can do the convert channels, and you can convert it to the other channel and then copy and paste it into this channel. But that way, you're not having to recreate everything in the other channel from scratch. You can just convert it and create it separately there. Okay, so with that being said, so like let's say we're asking them for information. There's the text box. That's just this one, and I always default with that. And if you want to ask something though, it's this data collection. So you put that there. A lot of times I just cancel out of this first one, just have it there. So you can say, to get the lead magnet, whatever. Of course, you want to be selling, right? The other thing too is you don't want to just copy and paste email. If you have like an email, you're thinking, oh, this is great email sequence that converts really well. I'm just going to copy the emails and put it into the message. No, don't do that. I've had to fix some of those before in the past where people are like, oh, this isn't working. I go and look at it. I'm like, oh my God, you are like in a one-sided conversation. So remember, this is DM conversations. The nice thing is it's like you're having a conversation. So you can be short and to the point. It doesn't have to be too crazy with, sales psychology. Of course, you want to, be able to promote and get people to opt in, but keep the messages fairly short. So that way, it's not like people are reading an email inside a DM. So you can say reply with your email below. And then what they'll do is they'll end up replying here. So you want to do this where it says reply type, you do email. And then this is where if it hasn't responded, that it would expire in 30 minutes. And then that's when this would come into play. So this is the follow-up message that you can do. So we didn't get your email. Are you still interested in this offer? And then you can do yes, I am or no. So you give options. And then if they say yes, I am, then you can just copy and then do the same thing and say making the message be relevant. So you can say, okay, great. Reply with the email below, and they'll go through that. Then the next step, this is always where you have the next step. This is where you can do that condition to make sure that they did provide their email before they get whatever it is that you're providing them. And then you put email has any value. And again, this is Instagram, so I'm not worried about the black hole. I would put that in Messenger. And then with this, you will want to put in, just a follow-up having questions. And then once they provide their email, this is where the next step would be, would it be where you say, great, check your inbox? Or you can do the one where it has the PDF link. And if you do the PDF link, that would be here, and you put like the Google Drive link there, and then they would click that. For it to be where checking your inbox, this is where, depending on who your CRM is with, you would have an action step. And then you would have the integration, and there's a bunch of different integrations. You can see Mail, ConvertKit, Campaign, HubSpot. There's Flavio. I don't have Flavio connected on this one. And then if you, by chance, like if you are using high level, I suggest you using something like Tably. That's the easiest one, if you're not doing APIs. But then that way you would just use a external request. Oh wait, where's that here? No, okay, it's under automation spot. Oh, there it is. So you make an external request where then you can put the link for a webhook for Tably or Zapier or whatever, and then connect it to your CRM that way. And then once that's done, then you have it connected, and then you get the message about check your inbox. And then if you were to do a smart delay for, you can do up to 23 hours, but if you were like to do 2 hours and then send them the follow-up message there. So, okay, so real quick, let me answer here. Nick says, it's Tably, Tably. I actually was using Zapier before, but I took Tably just because it's much cheaper and it does just as good, if not better, with functionality. So yeah, Tably is one. But keep in mind, there are some integrations that doesn't have. One is Kajabi. So not yet anyway. So I ran into that with one of my clients. So Kajabi is one that doesn't work. Let's see. What systems do you usually put in place to make sure that contacts will break the flow of a message in your message? So that is where you have certain, I can actually go into that next, actually, great segue, is how you have it triggered. So you can have it, there's a bunch of different triggers that you can have. One is user sends a message. So this is like if someone sends a message within DMs, right? So they're already in your DMs and they send you a message. So you can have message contains a certain word or is, those are the main ones I use. You can have begins with if you want or certain whole word. The thing you want to think about with this is making sure that it's a word that is not common necessarily, because, and same with if you're going to do a comment DM reply automation, because you don't want this firing off and sending to people who it really shouldn't be. So like, for example, I don't know, let's see, if someone was wanting to, one of my clients is doing her focus is fitness, online fitness, and she was wanting to do something for resources for pregnancy loss. for moms who are experiencing pregnancy loss. And so she was like, what should we do for our comment? And I said, she's like, well, I think about hope. And I was like, well, that's great, but you got to think about the context. What if somebody says, oh, I hope to be able to join your membership next month or something? Then they get sent this thing about pregnancy loss, which would be totally not related. And can almost be, slightly insensitive too, because they're like, what are you talking about? They have no idea, right? So, sorry, my cat is
we deal with that as well. On our, because like one of our keywords is like wealth on one of our reels, and the person in the video talked about wealth, and so all in the comments, like somebody will comment something about like, oh man, this person has real wealth in their life, and they get sent our offer. So it's yeah, we constantly have to be picking a word that won't commonly be used.
Yeah. Another suggestion is, if you're doing a call to action of saying comment below with this word for trigger, say hashtag and the word, right? So it's like hashtag hope or hashtag wealth, because most people aren't going to use that within their message or their comment. So that's one way to still have the same word where it will be able to trigger. The other thing is you can have where the comments on the post, where you can have it where it's a specific post. So you can choose a specific post if you'd like, and then any comment on that post with that specific word will fire. So that could be an example of my fitness client, where like, let's say she's doing a reel about pregnancy loss and about the resources they put together, where she can say comment with the word hope below. That would be on that specific reel. So that would make sense, or that would be more relevant, right? Where somebody else is like commenting on her doing, example of some exercise, and oh, I hope to be able to join your fitness. That is one way to try to eliminate that happening where it misfires or doesn't fire with somebody that it shouldn't be. Okay, so let's see here. I see that it can be used with WhatsApp also as a structure the same as Facebook Messenger. Yeah, so WhatsApp is very similar. Their only difference is Messenger has something, and this is all based off of what Meta provides through accessibility through the API. So it's not like it's a ManyChat only has a functionality. This is a limitation by Facebook or by WhatsApp. So cool thing with Messenger is that you can also do a gallery. So like this has really been beneficial for like if you have different products or services you want to promote, that you can have a gallery with an image and you have different buttons for them, and you can have up to 10, which is really great. So one use case I use this for the last ILAC conference, listening to all the different speakers and they could go and see their bios and stuff. For WhatsApp, that's not an option. All you have is a image. You can also do a list message. But that is pretty much it. So it's slightly limited compared to Messenger. There is some functionality still that you can utilize with Messenger or with WhatsApp that's similar, but you just have to make sure that you keep that in mind when you're creating your flows, that you have what the limitations are with something. When you convert channels, it's always a thing with conversion from Instagram to Facebook. Or are there any nodes or anything consistently that does not transition over during convert channel operations? That's a great question. So as of right now, the nice thing is pretty much everything from Messenger to Instagram converts. Same with Instagram to Messenger. The only thing that doesn't, and I'm going to go over this too here in a little bit, I'll talk about it now, is Messenger has a subscription list feature. So you know how there's a 24-hour rule? You can actually go outside that 24-hour rule if they opt into your subscription list. So this has worked amazingly well for my clients who have like a 5-day challenge, right? Where they opt in for this 5-day challenge. Well, if they don't engage within a day, then you can't send them a message after that, right? So being able to have a subscription list that you can send them one message a day or up to one message every 24 hours or within a day, that opens up that ability, which is nice. Another example that I use this for is for a restaurant client of mine where they have a birthday offer. And so every year I can send them a message saying, hey, I see your birthday's coming up, would you like to get your free meal? Click the button below to get your coupon. Or if there's other specials and stuff, I can send it, if they have like a special once every 3 months or so, I can send them another message with that. So I say all that saying that Instagram currently doesn't have that open to the public. They did have it open to beta for a while. I got a couple of my clients on it. It has been a game changer so many ways. I'm so disappointed that they took that away or they haven't opened it up yet. I actually was on a call with the head of Messenger at Meta. They're actually asking me for my experience with some things with their development team. And I asked that. I said, when is your Instagram DM subscription list come back? And he goes, I know, like we want that. So there's something that's keeping them from doing it. But it hopefully, when it comes back and you hear about it, you'll be like, oh, this is what it is, and you want to go on it. So, but with all that being said, Instagram doesn't have that. So if you have that in your Messenger flows and you convert it over, that won't convert. There's no equivalent right now for Instagram for that. But everything else pretty much converts. Yes, keep it short and sweet for your text. Let's see. Cably, we talked about that. Okay, is there a reason why the trigger wouldn't be just for specific posts? Yeah, so the downside is you can't connect it to the post until the post is visible. So if you have it set up though, where you're like, okay, I'm going to post, and you go into ManyChat really quick and then you connect it, then that works. But that's an extra step that you have to do every single time, which is super annoying. And if you have an offer that you want to promote to multiple times, then you can. My suggestion is just have it for any post. Then that way, that's one less thing you have to do, and you can have multiple keywords. So like if you're having one post that you want to say, for like let's say it's a lead magnet, like you're talking about, like with Jeff was saying, like with wealth. Like if you said hashtag wealth, it would get that lead magnet. But then you could have another word like hashtag income, and you could have multiple keywords that will fire off the same thing, but allows you to promote it in a slightly different way. Or if you have a different video that talk more about it, that you can use that to promote it. So that's one reason why I like to have it all posts, because it is one less thing that you have to do with when they are trying to opt in. That's the worst, when they're trying to opt in and either one you forgot. That's happened in the past, and that makes me really appreciate automation so much more, is when an automation was forgotten to be attacked, and then you have to go in and manually respond to everybody. I mean, if you guys aren't using automation right now, you know what that is like now, and it sucks. So that's a good reminder, like, wow, this is why I love automation. So you don't have to worry about connecting it or forgetting about connecting it if you have it just set for all posts. Yes, it does suck. So yeah, so this is kind of just in general about how to connect and how to create a simple flow. And then again, if they don't, like for example here, this one's for finished, we didn't get the email. So if they didn't read the email, you go back to here. So it's all about just trying to get the connection, figuring out, and thinking in your mind, like, okay, what happens next? What makes sense? In instances where, like, for example, somebody says something, like let's say they get this message and are you still interested in this offer? And instead of clicking the button, they say, yes, I am. That's annoying because they're not clicking the button, and so they're not getting back into the automation, right? So just responding with it. So here's a little trick that you can do also, is you can just do a little message block after a data collection. And if you do a space, it will then be listening for it. And then you can see if they've responded with yes or no. And you can just say, and what I end up doing is I end up saving this as just a text reply. I just put it as a temp field. Temp, I'll just do this one. Where it's a temp, you just create a new field and you just call it temp field. And then you can go here in the condition and then look for, I'll just put that here, template contains yes. And then it would end up going here. And if it doesn't contain yes, you can also have the option where it would instead say no, and then that would go to the other one. And then if anybody says anything else, then what you can do is if it doesn't match those, you can do a condition where or an action step where it actually just opens it. And so you can do live chat and then mark it open. And then you can access that through the live chat here. So you can have it where anybody who comments or says anything outside of the automation, or if it's set with automation as an action step, it will then put it into the live chat that you can refer back to and just kind of go through that to see who's responded. Because one of the big things is when you get a lot of automations going, it's super easy to get lost in your inbox. If you try to go through the inbox in Meta Business Suite or through your Instagram DM inbox, you'll just see all these automations and you're like, oh, okay, I guess people are going through this, but maybe someone asked a question that you just miss it, or they ask a question and they click a button that goes through the automation so you don't see it. That's where having the live chat and ManyChat is super important, because you can actually see it will put into the inbox who has actually asked the question outside of the automation. So keep that in mind of that as a tool that you can use to help your inbox and keep your sanity when it looks like it's going crazy because of all the messages that are going through it. Okay, so that's an example of a lead magnet. Another one that I was going to show you guys is scheduling appointments, which is very similar. Oh, restart my computer. I have too many tabs open, not on this window. Okay, so with appointment for scheduling appointments, pretty much the same thing where you ask them for their email and then you ask them for their phone number. So the phone number is very similar as email. With this, you just end up putting here reply type is phone. If you're doing asking for WhatsApp, then you want to say you can save it as WhatsApp ID. And also if you're doing SMS opt-in through ManyChat, then you would have this, of course, making sure you're letting them know that they're opting into SMS messaging, doing all the requirements of saying, they can reply with stop, all that stuff. But if you're just collecting email number for an appointment, I guess you'd also put that in there if you're going to do text follow-ups. But then once you have this in here, then what you can do, which is really awesome, is in your almost 100%. I don't think I've come across a calendar booking system that doesn't have the feature, but where you can put in here at the end, you can put in the URL parameter. So you could do this where you do like first name and then you put equals and then first name. And then, if you do and last name equals last name and email equals and then email. There we go. And phone equals phone. Then what the nice thing about that is then when you send them to your schedule form that asks this information, they're not super annoyed, like, dude, I just provided all this information in DMs, why are you asking for it again? It will actually pre-fill all this information into the form that all they have to do is either hit submit or choose a day and time, or if you have further follow-up questions that you can ask that on the form itself. But this is beneficial in two ways. One is the fact that you get their information before they click to go schedule, so then that way you can follow up with them if they haven't actually scheduled. But then two, you've already provided their information, or they've already provided their information in the chat, so then it can pre-fill the information in the appointment scheduler. And then if you can actually have it set up with ManyChat Pixel. This is kind of a more advanced thing, but just to give you guys some information about what's possible. With the ManyChat Pixel, you can actually have it set up where when you have an appointment scheduled, it will fire off the ManyChat Pixel that will then come back and send them a message about next step. So again, an example of this is going back to my orthodontist client, that once someone scheduled their initial appointment, consultation appointment, that would send the next step and, hey, thanks for scheduling a consultation for your child. For braces, here are the next steps. We're going to call you about your insurance information that you have. Here's also a link to directions to find where we're located, things like that. That way, that information is relevant to them because they had gone ahead and finished booking, and then they got that information right away. On the flip side, you can have it where, if they obviously have not scheduled, that you can send a follow-up message to them. So let's see, what was the appointment user field, billing triggers, and yeah. So what that's called is URL parameters. So you can actually use it for anything. You can use it, like I'm using it for a fence installation company. One thing it's getting people a consultation, or sorry, initial quote. And one of the questions is, how much fencing do you need? And a lot of people don't know. And so I've realized, then going through my free quote calculator, a lot of people are stopping there. So, okay, how can I figure this out to make this a better result? And so what I've actually just over the weekend implemented is using the Google Cloud API, where someone will provide their email, or sorry, their actual physical address inside of Messenger, and they'll click a button and it will take them and zoom in on their property on a Google map that will open up in a web view, that then they can draw their perimeter and then submit it, and it'll submit the length of fence that they need. So it totally removed the whole, oh, I need to go measure, because guess what? Nobody has come back and said, oh, I measured it this much. They forget about it. So the nice thing is with the URL parameter functionality, that can take their address that they provided inside of Messenger, send it through to I created a landing page on high level that has the Google Cloud or Google Maps API embedded in there, where it will automatically fill in the address and then be able to have the map already centered on their location, so they don't have to go move the map and find and zoom in and all that stuff. So using URL parameters is super helpful for so many different things, not just scheduling, but also for any sort of forms that you have. The trick for that, though, what you'll do to find out, you have to have the, how I have first name here, really depending on the form and the software, is you have to find what the ID is of that form field for it to work. So what I do is I inspect the page, and then you just click on the, when you have the form, you click on this, and then you click on the area where it is, and then you can, let's do this one here, if it has it on here. I haven't done it for a ManyChat build out thing, but you can see here, it's just caption for the name. So you look for the name, and then, or it could be ID, and then you would put that in there. You'd say, let's say this is for first name, then instead of first name here, you just put it there, and then it would autofill that. And the way to test it, always test it too, is once you get the URL created, just pop it into your browser and hit enter with your information and see if it auto-populates it. If it doesn't, then you gotta go back and compare what the name of the field is. Yeah, I'm so glad, Nick. It is something else. And the fact that people are going to be like, I provided this information. We've done it before. It's so annoying. I have to provide this information again. It's like ridiculous. Take my information. So, and a lot of people don't understand that they're totally two different systems. They don't understand. So, and that's how you can, one way that you can really easily integrate between two systems that way. Okay, so based off of some of that information, anybody else have any questions regarding setup with ManyChat for scheduling an appointment or lead generation, or a certain maybe scenario that you're like, hey, would it work for this specific way? Because really, people ask me like, what can ManyChat do? I'm like, what can't it do? Like, it can pretty much do anything, which is the upside for it, but also the downside for people trying to learn how to do it. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed.
Mackensie, I have a question. Can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah. So, all right, we sell furniture, and our primary lead source is Facebook Lead Center, so we're running ads, or Facebook Messenger through Marketplace ads. So, what would be like? How would this work? I'm totally new to this, and I was just listening to this while I was doing something else. So, give me a rundown of how you think that workflow would go.
So Facebook has limited the ability with Marketplace API to be able to do things. So the best way that I found is to, if you have a Marketplace listing, is to be able to provide a link. Because the nice thing is with all the flows, and for both Messenger, or for everything, for Messenger, for Instagram, and for WhatsApp, is you can actually have a referral link. So you have it click a link that will take them into this flow specifically. So if they're interested, where you can say, okay, click here to get more information. I'm talking for a second because I did, and I don't know if this was Marketplace, it might have been something else. I had a client that was doing, maybe it was through Marketplace, but was doing like a job description, or posted a job on some part of, I thought maybe it was Marketplace, but people who were saying they were interested, it was connecting to their business page, of course, that we connected a specific, whatever the keyword was, that when they click the button, it would send that message to the business page. So what you can do is, if it does that, you can actually set up a specific keyword that will then trigger that off. And that's what I do with all my Facebook ads. Like, you can connect through Facebook ads, through ManyChat, through like Facebook ads connection. It's way more complicated than it needs to be. And also it's slightly limited of being able to track attribution. So what you can always do, and this is what I always do, is I always have send a message, and then have this message is, as message is, and then put the button words that are sent, and then it will fire it off. So I do that with Facebook ads. So like, let's say you're offering a lead magnet, you say, click the button below to get your lead magnet, and then it would click, and you have, of course, the destination be DMs. And then when they click the button, they get the initial message that you sent up in your Facebook ad. And then in there, you can have whatever you want for your button in there. You can say, hey, thanks for your message. If you're interested in getting, my lead magnet that gives you the 10 ways to really build your business, click the button below, and it could be like 10 ways. It could be just a button, and then you would put in here 10 ways, and then it will always fire off this flow from the ad. And the other thing, when I'm saying about attribution, here's another little trick. I end up creating actually a bridge flow. So what I mean by that is an ad bridge flow. So I can put in here where the trigger is, do that again here, message is, and then like 10 ways. And then it will end up sending them a message that will say, thanks for your interest. Click below to get the lead magnet, or whatever. And then you'd have the button here, I want this, and then it would go to start another flow. And then this would be, for an example that we're giving, it would be like this flow right here. So then you'd have it go to this flow. And then the benefit of this is you can then, again, this is like high level, or not high level, but like more advanced stuff, is what you can do is you can actually have a action step that will set. You can create a set user field, source ID, and then you can put like 1. And so then this would be referencing one ad, right? And you can have this be this. And then you can duplicate this, set live, and go back out and duplicate it. And then you can change this. And like, let's say you want to do this, and then 10 ways, and then like this. This would be a different button, or you put this in the button in the Facebook ad or Instagram ad. And then when they click on that button, it would then go to the duplicated one that you would then set this source to. So then that way you can see which ads are actually not only bringing in people, because obviously you can see that with ads dashboard, you can see, okay, how this is the number of messengers conversations that have started. But this way, if you have a longer funnel all within ManyChat, you can actually then see, okay, people who are coming in through this source ID are more often than not making it through to the final call to action, booking an appointment or whatever, that you can't necessarily see through Facebook ads dashboard. So this way, and I actually, for a couple of my clients, I had set up with a Google Sheet that dynamically filters and updates it and says, okay, here's your top audiences based off of your results that you've gotten of scheduling the consult or whatever. So that's one way that you can do that. But having it be where the message is, if that connects to your marketplace message, if they click the button and it sends a message to your business page, you can have it set to whatever that is when they send it, and then that will connect automatically.
Got it. Cool. So then is this using, and forgive me because I don't fully understand this, but I want to understand it.
Yeah.
Is this using like the native API to create these native buttons within Messenger?
And again, when I created the thing with the job post, it was a while ago, a few years ago, so I don't know if they've changed it up a lot, but when usually with a business posting something on Marketplace, if someone's interested, they click, that's interested, they click a button, it sends a DM. Whatever that DM is, like, I'm interested in this, or can you tell me more about this, or something like that. Whatever message that is by default with Marketplace API, you can't change that unless they've changed that capability that you can change the message. And then it would come in, you just have it set up to match whatever that button is in the marketplace to then match it here, and then it will act like it was a button within ManyChat, and it'll just fire off below.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Question about AI. So you can implement AI, which is pretty amazing. I've done it a couple times. The only I had one client go and ask me to turn it off because it seemed too body, because it is. So there is the ability, to implement AI, and you can set it up so it's specific to what you're utilizing for. So for example, it's still with keywords. So since a message, I can recognize the intent of a message. So with this, you can say, person is interested in asking about, and then you can have it in there, and then it would end up triggering this flow specifically about that. The other thing with the ManyChat AI though is, like a lot of things, it's an extra cost. Let's see where was that at? Not here. I think it was, I've done it in a while. Under billing. Here we go. So it's $29 a month. So keeping that in mind, that it's $29 a month that you can utilize with ManyChat AI, and you can also with that, let's see, go back to here. You can also set up. Wait, no, I want to get off there. The ability to have an AI step. So with this specifically, you can have where you set a goal and you give a script. So this is great for I guess for more advanced like appointment scheduling, where you can ask for the information, it will do that. And the benefit of that is a little bit more conversational. One use case actually that I'm putting together is with for a real estate agent, asking them, oh, you're interested in buying a house. Okay, how many bedrooms? So that way it's a little bit more conversational versus clicking buttons. So that's definitely something that you can utilize with AI inside of ManyChat. Also being able to have like FAQs or they have different templates and things like that you can utilize. But it's nice to be able to have that. I actually use that for one of my clients too. For that 5-day challenge, telling you about she has a pop-up Facebook group, and so many times people would, even though the message says every time we let into the group at 3 p.m. on Sunday, a few days before, I joined the group, but I'm not in there. And it's so frustrating because I'm getting these messages. I'm like, oh my god, like sometimes it's hard to have a keyword to be able to respond, because it's not the same for everybody. Something to be like. So anyway, that's where this determining the AI intent is really helpful, because it was like the bot was amazing. Like it would tell people like, hey, congratulations, it was for pregnancy stuff. It's like, congratulations on your pregnancy. We'll open the group at 3 p.m. on Sunday. Do you have any other questions or whatever? So that's one benefit that I've utilized it for. That's been really nice. Like I said, for another client, it's actually that fitness client. He wanted just AI to help her out completely on answering questions through her DMs. And a lot of people, those people are messaging, talking to her as a person, so it didn't seem genuine. So that's why we shut that off. But if you're a business that's not necessarily a person that you can end up saying, hey, I'm a virtual assistant, how can I help? That's where this can really help a lot. Oh, trying to body, not Bobby. No offense to anybody named Bobby. I meant Body, like it seems like a bot. So what are your feelings with regard to AI chatbots currently? Is it possible to do well now with any platform without being super fragile? So I'm kind of more on the conservative side with AI in terms of implementing it, because on the flip side, as a user, you want to make sure that they have a good user experience. So one big thing is, depending on your use case, if you really don't need AI for something, like for example, lead magnet delivery, you don't need that, then that's one thing you have to worry about is the bot like going rogue or saying stuff or trying to get an appointment scheduled and maybe you're not doing appointments, and then that's just super frustrating. But if you have a use case where it'd be really beneficial to ask questions to get them to the next step, or if a lot of your messaging is really dependent on the context, then that's where having this where it's we're gonna go back here, where it's determining the intent is really helpful, where it can recognize the intention of the message. That can be better for the user experience because it's kind of understanding more what they're trying to say versus, if they misspell a keyword, then it doesn't send, right? It deals with, it understands, misspelling the thing. So, awesome. Okay. So we already covered this, but do you know does ManyChat integrate with HubSpot? Yes, they do. Oh, thanks for answering that. Okay, awesome. Any other questions or ideas or anything like that, or scenarios you guys can think of?
I had one, and then Gabe, I think, had a quick question. Can you show any real life examples of a campaign? Do we do Gabe first?
Like, yeah, what type of campaign? Like, lead magnet campaigns, appointment schedule campaigns. Let me know what an idea would be for that. Content lead magnet funnel. So yeah, so like for example, like I was showing with the go back here to get people opting in. So this would be one way to do it through ads, is to have that word sending a message. That would be one way. The other thing is if you here's an actually, this is a really important piece. When you are having it set up as a comment growth tool, this is a limitation by Facebook, not by ManyChat, but you can only have so much information inside of an initial message that is sent to somebody when they comment until they opt in. So once they opt in, then you can send everything here. So to show you the difference here, this as comment, I got it connected. That's the one downside here. So comment with the real. Okay, so I'm just gonna do all with the real, and then any comment. No. And one thing too, this is the setup for the comment growth tool. You can have, like I said, specific keywords or any comment. Any comment would fire anytime someone comments on anything, so I don't suggest it. It's just easier for me to head up, so don't do that unless you want to have it sent to everybody. But here's an option where you can have where your bot will reply to them to the comment itself, which is nice to be able to say, hey, great, thanks, check your DMs. I sent it to you there. So that's nice. But the only downside to this, or the one thing to keep in mind, is if you end up getting a lot of comments, if your page gets a lot of comments all at once, the AI for Meta can be triggered for what it'll say like automation. But also want to say 100% ManyChat and Meta are partners in this. So it's not like I said, I've talked to the head of Messenger about implementing conversion API actually within ManyChat. So they're partners. But the thing is, Meta still has that AI looking for, like, if you're going too fast, I'm sure you guys have experienced that when you comment too fast, even manually, you'll get a warning. So that can trigger if you have a bunch of comments going all at once or really fast, it will trigger that automation warning. So if that is a possibility, what's that?
We had to turn ours off.
Yeah.
But if you're a smaller influencer creator business, I'm sure this is a great tool for you. We had it on the meeting. It's just we just have too many people in our funnel.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one thing to keep in mind, but it's really helpful because if you can use it, I would highly suggest it because you can then get that next step. The other thing to keep in mind is and it's always because there's people that are doing stupid stuff and then Meta has to respond or they go crazy. So one thing back in the day when we first started, you could send messages to people whenever you wanted. There wasn't a 24-hour rule. But of course, people were exploited that and they were sending spam messages all the time, and Facebook users were getting annoyed. So Facebook put a huge block on that and said, okay, you got 24 hours to respond, with automation. So we had to, work around that. So one other thing is lately, sometimes, and this has been kind of like a thing that might be happening, and it seems like it's happening here and there, but it's not consistent. I don't know if Meta is testing this, but sometimes people will receive a message and it will go into their other inbox. So it won't be in their general inbox or Instagram DM. So they don't realize that it's there, that they've got sent the message. So that's where a bit of this reply is helpful. But also, if you in your post where you're giving the call to action, tell them to follow you if they're not already, right? That way they will get the message in their general inbox because they're already following you. So if they're not following you, then that's usually when it ends up in their other inbox. So I would always keep that in mind when you're giving a call to action in a post or if you're on a reel or whatever, you tell people comment, say, make sure you follow me and then comment below. And then if you don't see it, check your other inbox. Okay, so what was I? Oh yeah, so having this be as your comment growth tool functionality, so you have it set up, and then once you have it set up, then what you can do is, or what you have to do is you have to have it go to an initial message that has a comment reply. And as you can see here, the difference, you see all this stuff that you can do with a regular message and a comment reply. The only thing you can do is have one message with buttons. So the goal of this first message is to get somebody to click that button or to respond to take that initial message. And this is pretty much like a double opt-in, right? So they commented, so it's Meta want to make sure that they do want to receive the messages. So if you're gonna put on your sales hat for sales psychology, put it into this message to get them to click that button. Make sure like, hey, thank you for your comment. If you're wanting to get my 7 steps that will do XYZ and say everything, so because also if they happen to see it in their other inbox maybe a week later and they totally forgot that they commented, reading that message will be really a great way to remind them about what's going on. And then when you have the button, then that's when you can have it go to your automation of your lead magnet or whatever it is. Because as you can see here, the initial message on this is asking for email, and you can't do that in the initial message when it's connected to a comment growth tool. So that's one big piece with the setup of comment to Messenger or comment to DMs that you want to make sure you set up. Okay, let's see here. Would it be useful for a medical office clinic to generate leads? Yeah, I'm currently working with a physical therapist. This works really well to get people opting in for a consult. Like I've mentioned a few times, orthodontists, I've worked with dentists, chiropractors. So depending on what your medical office or clinic is, really, if you have any sort of ad that you're running or that you're trying to get leads, that is one way. Also, lead magnets, especially like for my physical therapist, one thing that we ran was a lead magnet for dry needling, because most people don't know what dry needling is, and they get needled like, oh my god, I don't want to do that. So it's a great way to get interest and for people to learn more about it and then get them to opt in and then have that follow up, say, hey, you got the our guy talking about dry needling, you want to take advantage of our offer that we have right now, because it's also a cash payment thing, insurance and cover it. So that's been really beneficial. One of my favorite real life examples here, eventually Instagram nails. Awesome, yeah. That's so cool. Okay, great. Yeah. yeah, there's so many different people that use ManyChat for different things. So many different use cases and possibilities. I've gone over simple like lead magnet, appointment scheduling. One thing I've done that has been super successful that it takes a lot to set up is like a 5-day gift campaign. So this works really well around Christmas time. I did this actually with a med spa for pretty much what the premise is they opt in and they get a every day they get a message that has 3 gifts that they can choose. And they don't know what gift it is. If it's pick gift A, B, or C, and it's has the buttons, and they pick whichever one, and then it will send them a random gift. And then they have up to 24 hours to buy that gift. And you can actually integrate Stripe also with ManyChat. So it was great. I was selling gift cards, I was selling facial products, also getting people to opt in to purchase certain like if they did a Botox special, so it was like $4 a unit or something like that, but they had to buy $300 worth, so they could actually just buy it right there straight in DMs. But the cool thing is after 24 hours, it would expire. So I had a bunch of things set up in the back end where it would reset that price. And so if they try to buy it, after 24 hours, they couldn't. Same thing if they went to go say, like maybe they got a facial product, no, I don't want that. They try and click on gift B, and it would say, oh, sorry, you've already picked a gift for today, I'll wait till tomorrow. So that's been really beneficial. I've used that for a waxing studio. I've used that for a jewelry business for them doing like a birthday, like it was their anniversary for their company, and they wanted to do this big huge thing for a week where they were doing giveaways and things like that. So ManyChat can be used for a lot of different use cases. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but definitely think about, you can keep it super simple, especially if you're starting out. The idea is that you want to have it be something that you can put in terms of automation that will help you to triage, especially top of funnel leads that, if you want to then, jump in, you definitely should. The idea of selling high ticket through DM automation, it's possible, but my suggestion is obviously, don't, get them into the funnel that will take them to an appointment or whatever. But you can have FAQs, you can have other things that can help provide them information, but with the benefit that they're already in this chat conversation with you, that they can ask questions and that you can manually follow up. Let's see. Have you ever set up a monthly giveaway where whoever comments, like, story, shares your content accrues the most points through ManyChat points in background and wins the contest? This would be an amazing engagement mechanism. Yeah, so a loyalty rewards program or referral rewards, 100%. So one cool thing with the referral link feature is with additional settings, you can have custom fields. So what you can do is have like for example with this, you would end up putting this in here so you can see. But like let's say you were going to use this as a open website. So you can end up putting the ref URL. And then you can put the content here. So, like, let's say you want to just put in their ManyChat ID. That's definitely one way to be able to track who provided what. But what you could do is actually you would not put this in the URL. You'd say like share this, and then you can put it there, and then it would end up they just copy and paste that if they're going to share it with people. But whenever like somebody shares this link with somebody and they click it, then the cool thing is their contact ID would then show up inside of their custom user field. So, like, let's say the referral, it would end up putting it in there, and then you can track everybody who has referred a certain person by looking up their contact ID in that referral custom field, and then. A little bit more complex than that is then being able to, like I mentioned earlier about tracking source ID of what the top audiences are. You can do the same thing with a referral ID of like, okay, here's the top affiliate or top pairs or whatever that you have that you can just track through that kind of field. Can you set it up? I definitely feel like a rolling test to set up. Give me you wouldn't have to do. Oh, and that's the thing. Google Sheet, you can integrate directly with Google Sheets, which I've used a ton with in terms of like doing individual coupon codes. Like you could have a list of coupon codes in a Google Sheet that it'll just go through and assign the next one to the next person who opts in, which is really beneficial. I've also used Google Sheets to do some like edits for dates and also for removing like extra characters or trying to remove spaces to send things back. So the nice thing is with Google Sheets, you can actually be able to integrate it and then use it to add rows or retrieve content from certain rows. Let's see. Lead magnets that are high ticket booking is yes, exactly. So having it, that's the big thing, is having it integrated so that way it might be things when I'm starting to work with a new client, I'm like, okay, what are you currently doing? And let me suggest ways that ManyChat can help without like reinventing their whole process. Because that's the last thing you want. Is, like, especially if they have a bunch of people that are part of their process of whatever it is that they're doing. You want to try to integrate it with it as much as possible to really just throw fuel on that fire versus, oh, you have to do it a totally different way now. Because then people don't like change if they don't have to. So try to integrate it as much as possible so it stays consistent with what they're already currently doing. And the other benefit of this, I didn't mention this, my background as a scientist. I was a clinically certified cytogeneticist for a decade analyzing chromosomes under a microscope. And my mind works in ways of science. So the scientific method of changing one variable at a time to see how that impacts the results, right? And another example of this that Jack can attest to is the fact that we did some split testing. We took you can actually do a split test inside of ManyChat. You have your one type of text or whatever it is, and then you have a second one that had a 50% goal. You can see which one gets the better result. And I forget what the results were on one of them, but it was like a 9-day difference. And you wouldn't know that unless you did a split test. So
the copy we were originally using was compared against taking it and breaking it up into like small little bullet points with emojis in it. And the emoji one was like a 80% click-through rate, and the old one that we were using was 26%. So it was like it was not even a comparison. It was insane.
Yeah. That was so awesome to see. So yeah, so doing things like that, split testing, and just seeing how you can maybe just fine tune or make slight adjustments where it doesn't affect somebody's process that they're currently working in is a great way to just finesse and make the system better. Let's see. I'm just getting you. Yeah, it's going to take more information obviously to get that set up. So yeah, definitely we'll connect. Let's see. Will there be recording? Yes, we are recording right. I think I saw that.
Yes, there will be recorded for the workshop along with a link for anybody that's interested in working with Mackensie 101. But this workshop will be recorded and posted in the classroom section. So we'll make an announcement when it's available to watch back.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Just real quick before we hop off, we'd love to just do a quick rundown of probably the most common sequence that us at RDocs use. I think it's a very simple, straightforward, it's really helpful. The story swipe up, just a quick, just want to do like a quick story sequence and then do like a website per se.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice is you can actually once you create a main flow, you can use it over and over again in different ways. So like for example, stories, you can see here you can have users like your story. So you can have the same flow, have different trigger steps. So same thing with stories, you can have it where it's set to a specific story. If you do that, again, you have to connect it right when you post it. So if that's kind of a hindrance, then I would just say all stories. And you can have replies with specific words or reactions, and you can have that way. Also, the big thing, you can have emojis in here. So if you just want to have an emoji with like celebratory, if they reply with that, then it will fire it off. So it doesn't have to be a long word thing where you have to have them type. You can just have them respond with emoji and it will send it off. And then the nice thing with stories, you can react to the heart to the response to their story. And then that can end up just sending that through to your website if you want, or collecting obviously email. With stories, you want to make sure to, I mean, you don't have to have the comment reply, but the one benefit of having it go through the same flow as a comment reply is having this is if they end up responding to your story with a word that, again, it says reply contains. So if they reply to the story with a specific word that maybe it's not, the word or whatever that would be consistent with what you wanted it to, then this is nice because it will say, with the initial message like, hey, are you interested in this? Tap the button below. If they're not, then that way, it's not going right into asking for their email, all that stuff, right? So it kind of gives them that opportunity to take the next step. So I would definitely implement that where it's the story and the comment reply are on the same trigger step for that. And then of course, once they opt in and they go to the start automation where you click and select a flow, then you can just have it go into that next step where it then says, okay, great, provide your email. Or if it's for appointments, right? It says, okay, enter your email to schedule an appointment. And then that way it goes into that flow that has different trigger steps to it, but still gets the end result that you're looking for. Cool. Any other questions?
Yeah, that's great. I'm honestly just learning on this call now that you can have it respond back like personally with their hi first name. I think it's really cool.
Oh, that's the other thing. I'm glad you mentioned that. So weird thing about Instagram. So with Facebook profiles, everybody has a first name, everybody has a last name, which is great for using that hey first name. Instagram, some people don't have a first name because they put their whole name as their profile name. So, but they don't go in and edit their profiles where it says first name. So what you can do is have another condition where it will actually look for if they have the first name or not. You can say first name, has any value. And if it doesn't, then you can ask for it actually. And you can say, what's your first name? It's weird when I was first realizing this. I'm like, dude, there's people going through that their name is like Sarah Smith, but it's saying that it doesn't have the first name. And that's when I realized, oh, their profile name is Sarah Smith, but they haven't put Sarah as their first name. So that's where you can ask them for their first name, through the data collection. I'm going to put it through here. And then, where did that not go? Okay, there we go. That you can then say first name. So then it will save it as their first name on there. So that's one way to do that. And then if they haven't done it yet, or they already have the first name, then you can provide it there. So, but yeah, that's information that you kind of learn as you go. They're like, oh, okay, so Messenger always has the first name, but Instagram doesn't always. So, and it's obviously going to be collecting email. You want to be able to know the first name, to send along with email, unless you refer to everybody as friends in email. You don't use their first name or whatever. But also like with appointments, obviously, if you're using Instagram, even if they have the first name already in their profile yet, if they don't, then ask for it and then ask for their email. The other benefit of having a condition like this is that way you're not asking for their first name if it's already in their profile. It's one less thing they have to do. So it's one less spot for them to accidentally drop off or get distracted or whatever. Let's see here. Okay, so how do you handle any releases entrepreneurs who are hesitant to automate due to wanting to maintain a personal touch? I dealt with that a ton, and I'm all for making automation only as much as you need it. So I highly suggest start super simple. The other thing is you can have your automation. Like I had a client that was super like, I don't want anybody to think that this automation is me. So guess what? We introduced, anytime somebody interacted with the bot, said, hey, I'm so-and-so's virtual assistant, and you make a name or whatever. Right? You can even put a cute picture of like a robot sort of thing, so people know that it's not you. So that would be one way that you can do that. Where it's like you're putting a line and a wall between you as a person and you as a chatbot. So that would be one thing that you can do. But then also, again, keep it super simple. If you're really, hesitant or you want to dip your toe into automation, the last thing you want to do is throw in AI into it. You just want to be like, hey, what's your email? Provide, and then as you go along and it gets a little bit more, you get a little bit more confident with it, then you can add some more things to it. But if that's a concern, which I completely understand and validate for sure, start simple so that way you're not ending up crashing and burning with your chatbot and then you hate it for the rest of your life, even though it can save you so much time. And it's so much more efficient. Personal, again, you can have it be a bot you can introduce initially, and then that will people will understand it too. Give asked if you use an ID. Yep, this is all Instagram here. Let's see what question here. Okay. Okay. So it's easier to have one main workflow that asks multiple choices. For example, what are you stuck in? And if you want free, or you could just post on the free areas and making at post level. Yeah. So when you're deciding on that, it really depends on how you're promoting it on Instagram, and as long as the next messaging makes sense, right? So you can definitely have where if you're promoting and you're talking about it, that you can say, hey, I want to help you out and find out, where you're stuck. Then obviously if they go through, they'll be like, okay, this makes sense. But if like you're doing another offer or you're doing another post and it goes into like where they're stuck and you're like, well, why am I answering this or whatever? If it doesn't, if it's a disconnect, then you definitely would just want to create a different flow for that. And then of course with the final call to action, if it's, getting them, to download something or book an appointment or whatever, as long as that's, consistent, that's what you want it to be, when you're promoting it on IG, then definitely use the same flow. But it didn't hurt that, if you have a flow set up that if you want to make one that's slightly different, that you duplicate it, or you can also do that split testing like I was talking about where you can split test and add, 50% of people go through and they actually go through that extra question and answer that. You can see based off of that, like, okay, how many people are not answering that? And if it's a good percent of people who don't answer that and they drop off, then that might be an idea of like, okay, well, I need either change up, the initial, like, what they're expecting as they're going through this, or maybe ask that afterwards, right? After they get whatever it is that you're providing, you can always follow up and be like, hey, hope you enjoy, this PDF, I'm interested, what are 3 things, that, or what's the one thing that you're most stuck on, choose from the option flow. And then that way you can get that follow up and that question answered to give you more feedback and to maybe lead into your next offer, but it doesn't affect people going through to get the initial offer what you offered on your post. Hopefully that helps answer that.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys? If you want to drop in the chat, or you're welcome to raise your hand and come up and ask Mackensie yourself.
Okay. So if you have the fire hose with a fake feeling, I completely understand. Good thing is you can watch this replay. Or if you're like, this sounds great and I love what it can do, I don't have the time, nor do I want to learn all this. At least you know enough to be dangerous to know what's possible. Then yeah, feel free to reach out and I can help you.
Yeah, absolutely. We did have one more question from Gabe. Where do you foresee DM marketing going in the future?
So I think, the big thing with DM marketing is it'll just continue to hopefully, at least I know it's meta. They realize the benefit of it for businesses and they've really built down on it. The only thing that they've not double down and they actually got rid of was a chat widget capabilities through Messenger, which kind of sucked because I actually had that on a few of my clients' websites that were great and went right into the automations. But it also opened up, I'm like, okay, well, we'll just use a high level closed bot chat on the website. And even though it doesn't go into the same automation through ManyChat, it still provides, you think about that user experience and user experience. So that was a better experience once Meta got rid of that. But I think in general, they understand a huge importance with businesses to be able to converse with their customers, and also the fact that businesses don't really have the time to necessarily respond manually all the time. So they understand the benefit of automation. A couple areas I think in the future where it's going to expand, and I can't wait for. I'm hoping at some point TikTok opens up their API for messaging. That's going to be a game changer, and that ManyChat will be able to connect to TikTok easily. And another one is, which this has just been kind of announced if you've been listening or paying attention, is RCS SMS messaging. So right now you can do, obviously we all know you can do automation through SMS, but there's no buttons, right? It's all messaging, and it works, especially people are responding to certain keywords and stuff, but there's no button. So, and that's been a limitation, I guess, with Android. They haven't been getting into RCS. They've been just staying with SMS. So I was actually just reading with all the updates with iOS that was coming out, that Android is actually going into RCS. And so I saw like a little snippet about it. I'm like, finally. So I think once that's implemented, that will open up more capabilities with buttons. This was probably like 3 years ago. Home Depot actually had it set up with RCS messaging, and I was messaging with them, just testing it out. And it was pretty cool. I'm like, wow, I cannot wait until we have this on everything for all businesses. Everything from my little restaurant client to huge e-commerce store. So and being able to have like galleries and things like that. Not just messages. So it will be huge for that for both SMS and TikTok. Now, right now for TikTok, what I'm doing is you can send people to a landing page for. So as you saw, I showed you the URLs that are available for Instagram and Facebook. You can't send those. At least with TikTok ads, you can't have that as a destination because it requires them to sign in, right? It requires them to sign into Facebook or Instagram. So on the flip side, what you can do is just have a landing page that like on high level that you build, and then if they're interested in learning more, that they can click a button there to choose their favorite platform, either Instagram or Facebook Messenger. And then once they click that, then it can take them into the DMs. Of course, if you're gonna have people on the landing page, you might as well just ask them for their email there too. You can provide an email, and then on the thank you page, you have the button for them to learn more, and it'll take them into your automations on either Instagram or Messenger. So that's been my workaround. It's worked pretty well. Yeah, link in bio, boring. So will Meta expand it or start to limit it because it makes organic revenue so possible? So that's the funny thing with as we all know with Meta, you pay to play, and especially on Facebook, as you probably are very well aware. To get any sort of reach for Facebook pages is like you can't. Like it's so hard. Really, if you have ads, then you can reach anybody. Instagram, the nice thing is that organic reach and the ability to reach a lot of people through Reels and things like that. So as long as Meta keeps that system in place, of course, it'll adjust algorithm here and there. It will still be consistent, but really your fallback method would always be ads. And even with some of my clients that are new with running ads with automation, because they have a following, but they're like doing webinars and stuff, and that they're realizing, okay, after a few times that they're doing the webinar, they're trying to make people sign up. It's like, yeah, because you're just reaching your organic audience with maybe some other people that aren't organic. So you should really start looking to run some ads to reach more people who are outside your sphere of influence. And so just letting them know, like, hey, you can even start running ads at $5 a day, and it really is not that much, but that you can get and reach a lot of people to access your webinar or download your lead magnets or whatever that will then go into the webinar. So if you have a really strong organic game that keeps bringing leads, milk that for all that you can, 100%. But always know that when it starts dipping, that you have an ad strategy available, or that you have it ready to go, or have that just slow burn in the background.
Awesome. Well, I think that's great. Mackensie, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for helping everybody some of the powerful ways that you can use ManyChat. I know it's been super helpful for us. And I'm excited to share the recording with the rest of the community. I think there's a ton of people that watch this back and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you could do that.
Right, exactly.
So guys, drop a thank you in the chat. Mackensie, if you do you have the link, or do you want me just to set it up and I can post it with the recording in the community? Yeah,
I'll send it to you here. I was trying to pull it up, but instead of erasing everybody, I'll send it see where you can post it with the video that way there.
Perfect. Awesome. And then where can everyone find you at?
So it's kind of funny. My Instagram is my business one is like I don't post anything on it, which is ironic. But so if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram you can search Mackensie Liberman, or you go to my website workmarketology.com. You can learn more about my services and stuff there too. But really, for in terms of social, it's mainly Instagram through my own profile, not so much on my Orca one. But you can follow that one too if you'd like. No harm.
Awesome. Just dropping some links in the chat for everyone.
Oh, yes, thank you. I didn't think that I could do that too. And my see here, that one's it. So because my name is kind of unusual or not usual, I guess I should say. Let me give you guys the link to that. There
you go.
Yeah. Awesome. I don't post a ton on there, but sometimes I do, and sometimes do some fun stuff. But yeah, so definitely reach out there as well.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Mackensie. Guys, thank you so much for hopping on. We have 2 other calls this week. We have our weekly mentorship call with Myron Golden. His video did 70 million views on the School of Hard Knocks Instagram. It's our most viral interview we've ever posted to date. So I highly recommend sharing for the call and asking Myron a question. He's awesome. And then for anybody that's interested in getting involved with Airbnb, or would love to just learn more about how to get like their first Airbnb property or just how all that works, we have an Airbnb expert, JR Rivas. He's coming on Thursday to teach how to get your first Airbnb property, as well as how to manage it as well. So definitely be on the lookout for the links for those 2 calls this week, and appreciate you guys for showing up. Mackensie, thank you so much again. This is awesome.
You're welcome. I'll talk to you guys later.